Welcome to episode number 7 of Science for Societal Progress. This is the first episode that focuses on a specific career in academia. Most students and postdocs in academia will have to leave research at some point. So I plan on introducing different academia or science-related positions sporadically. I hope this will be of interest for people outside academia as well, as one can learn a little bit about scientists and academia as well. Our guest for this episode is Cristina Oliveira, who works at the Universidad NOVA de Lisbon as a funding advisor for the Faculty of Social Science and Humanities.
My name is Cristina Oliveira. I work on this interface of science. I'm a funder advisor at the NOVA School of Social Sciences and Humanities from Universidad NOVA de Lisbon. Well, I work on this kind of job for about 10 years now.
So you're a funding advisor. How did you get into that kind of job?
Well, ever since I remember, I was interested in critical view or constant questioning of the world that I think that's the root of science. So I got a bachelor degree on science teaching, on biology and geology. So my first job was on Ciência Viva, which is a funding agency for science and technology culture and awareness. And then it was then that I got into the profession of the interface of science, in the sense that I was working with the researchers, developing projects, working on science communication, working on international projects. I did not came from the research background. I came from from a science background, in a sense that I love science and I have a bachelor on science. But I am not a researcher.
Oh, so you already worked a little bit with funding when you were at Ciência Viva?
Yes, at Ciência Viva it was interesting because we decided the calls for projects, so what kind of projects to have for the next funding on science communication. I also work evaluating those projects. But I also work as a member of projects related with science communication, so working with the researchers and the community. So in the sense, at Ciência Viva, I got an idea about the entire cycle of the project, since the call, how to make a call, to the end, to evaluate a project and then fund the project.
So from this job, you left Ciência Viva and then went to the university?
I work on this research institute called ITQB at Universidad NOVA de Lisbon, but I only stayed there for about 1.5 years because I got a fellowship to manage the project, and as the project ended, my fellowship also ended.
Oh.
And then I got a position at the faculty where I'm working now.
Your current job, that's called a funding manager?
It's technically called funding advisor.
Okay.
Because manager is more, as far as I see, is more when you already are funded. So when you already have a funded project, then you will have to manage the funds. This advisor is more looking for funding opportunities and then working all the tasks for until the application is submitted. This is the timing where I work with the researchers.
Okay. So maybe we should just go through your typical work week. You get to your office Monday morning, and what do you do?
One thing that it's, in a sense, interesting but also kind of hard in these jobs is that our work or our timing is really dependent on others, in the sense that it's dependent on the funding agency calendar and also on the researchers' calendar. So every Monday is not the same. Nothing happens the same in every Monday.
I see. We can also change the question. So how would a typical project look? Mm-hmm. You start probably by advising people on what kind of funding they could apply for? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yes. So usually I receive a lot of requests for meetings, and I have a lot of researchers, especially young researchers, young researchers as young at their career path, looking for funding to be able to continue research. And so this is the starting point. So this is we start by a discussion on where they explain me their career path, or at least career expectation, where they tell me about their research and or if they already have a project idea. And then I go from there, and then I start to map the funding opportunities for that idea or for that career path. And then I look for opportunities for that particular researcher, but also we have a weekly newsletter. So every Tuesday, this happens every Tuesday. That's for sure. So every Tuesday we send out our weekly newsletter for the researchers at the faculty, only with the funding opportunities. We also have a page on the Scoopit platform that you can log in and you can search for funding opportunities. That it's our webpage, and then you can receive alerts on funding opportunities. And so every week we send out a newsletter for calls that are open or for important documents related to European Commission that researchers should be aware of. By these two ways, either as an individual meeting or a small group meeting, or by the weekly newsletter, is where I start my relation with the researcher and start to map the possible calls where this researcher could apply to. And then the second part is working with him or with her to support the preparation of what we expect a successful application. So we kind of brainstorm a lot on the ideas. We gather colleagues from their specific areas, or even from areas somehow related but not the specific areas, to be able to identify new ways of seeing that idea or the implementation of the project.
Why is it necessary to think about the project that the researcher has already thought up in a different way?
Well, because there is a difference. And this is important. There is usually a big difference between what the project of the researcher, that usually it's their career project, and then the funding opportunities that are available. Of course, there are some funding opportunities that are not topic dependent, where you can just submit your project as you envision in the first place. But a lot of the calls are open for specific topics and specific ways of implementing or specific impact related to that call. So in that sense, we have to address the call, taking from the initial idea the best way to reply to what the funders are looking for. So most of the times it's necessary to adjust the first idea to the call scope.
I see, but it's not really changing the project, right? It's more about changing how you look at it.
Yes, sometimes it's changing how you look at it, and other times it's understanding that as a researcher, you can have a project that it's your project, that it's what you want to do, but you will only be able to get funding for a part of your project. So in that sense, you have to divide a little bit on what is your project, in a sense that it's what is your idea and what are you applying to. So probably you will be able to address all of your ideas and topics and goals, but you will have to write down a project focusing on only some of them, because the funder we are expecting only for a project on a more specific topic. But of course it depends. Sometimes the idea fits completely the call, other times it doesn't, but this doesn't mean that the researcher will have to change their initial idea. This implies only that the researcher will have to apply for funds only as a part of their initial idea.
I see. So you have this meeting and you decide on how to frame the project that it fits to the funding scheme. And then the next step would be writing down the project. Are you involved in that too?
Yeah, I'm also involved in that too. Maybe I think in some cases we also have a previous step, is that we meet with the funders. In some cases it's possible. For example, if you are applying for FCT or ERC, it's not possible. But there are some smaller programs where we can meet with the funders and present the ideas and get some feedback. And these kind of meetings I also prepare with the researcher, and I'm in a close contact with these smaller funding schemes. But then after that, I also work with the researcher on the writing of the proposal. Of course, my role is a little bit more on point out some parts of the project that should be clearer, or ways of organize the idea that it could make the text be more impactful to the reader, or to make it more soundable. I don't know. So it's a little bit more related with science communication, how to brand your idea, and not mainly on the science topic.
Okay, so I identify two skills here. So basically you do networking, and you need to know how to write concise and in a way to bring a point across, right?
I think you also need to, it's a part of the networking, but you need to be aware of the trends on the research, in the sense on the trends, or for example, on how the European Commission thinks about open access or data management or gender issues. So this kind of transversal trends, maybe I think as a funder advisor, you'll need to be aware of that and be able to advise the researchers on that issue. So also on your network, to always keep the European Commission webpage alive on your on your desk.
I see. So okay, so you do that, and you do know a couple of people in person that are funders, right? And then you write the grants. And then are you also involved in the final submission process? Because I did that for the European Union myself, and it was horrible.
What, it was Horizon 2020 or?
It was a Marie Curie fellowship.
Marie Curie. Yeah, I also helped the researchers to submit the application. But did you thought it was a nightmare? Why?
The website was just terrible. I didn't know what the words mean. So the European Union uses a language that I don't really understand. It's kind of between what people, I think, what people would say more, who are more like in economy. I think they have this certain vocabulary that has nothing to do with science.
Yeah, it's true. There are there are parts that are a bit more on finance and on legal terms that I was not used to that also. But when I got into science management, then because I had to read all of those documents that I was telling you about, the European Commission trends and so on. Then I'm a bit more. It is easier for me to understand what they are expecting for you to do. So I also help researchers submitting their projects, so their applications, in the sense that I can follow them through the application form and make sure that everything is filled correctly. But this is not so interesting for me. But yes, it's something that I do.
We're talking about what's part of your job, right?
It's true. I was just saying that I didn't thought about it because probably this is the least interesting for me. But it's a part of my job. Yes, it's true.
So, okay, so naive as I am, for me that sounds like that's it, but I'm pretty sure that you have more things to do.
Yes, it's true. Well, this is the main thing. But of course, for example, I will give you an idea. In my faculty, we have about 1,000 PhD researchers, and we are a group of only 2 funding advisors. So,
Oh, wow.
so of course, not only of them are in that phase of applying, but as you must feel now, the system is quite overloaded with applications, and so we are also overloaded with work. So just saying that having these tasks per themselves are a lot of work. But I also work directly with in close relation with my director for research in more strategic and policy making issues. But it's not a daily job. It's just when some discussions emerge at the decision making level. So when some information is needed, usually they ask, the information and also my opinion on that. For example, on successful rates and on indicators such as publication ratio, awards, and so on. I also have an overview on this kind of indicators at the faculty level.
So basically you're doing statistics across the whole
also
faculty?
Yes, also. I'm not the only one doing that, but I also do this kind of statistics. And we have, for example, we have some internal awards to promote it's not certain areas, but for example, we have an award on internationalization. We have another award that it's a seed money for the researchers to apply for a European Commission call. So this kind of internal awards were suggestions that were made by looking at indicators and by understanding what were our strengths and our challenges. And this kind of ideas or this kind of suggestions that I do. So not only looking at numbers and statistics.
Right. What were things that you struggled with when you got into the job?
Well, first I also struggled with the language because it was not it was new for me, this kind of funding agency language, that it's different from the European Commission to the national level. And also I'm working in a faculty of social sciences and humanities, and I've studied biology and geology. So in that sense, I also struggle with the language the language and the topics that the researchers are working on my institution. So this is my biggest challenge, I think, on my current job.
Do you think it actually helps that you are not in the field? I mean, I'm talking about the situation when you have to judge whether the written application, if it's understandable for somebody who's not directly in that field.
It's at least I use that on my advantage. So I'm like, well, I know nothing about that. So probably this comment is quite stupid. But is it clear? Do you think that this part is this kind of comments? No, I don't do it. It depends on the relationship, of course, that you have with the researcher and the willingness that he or she has to receive your comments. But when it's, for example, the first contact, or when I still don't have a relation with the researcher, in the sense that I'm free, I feel free to comment their research topic, I usually use that on my advantage and say that, this is not my area, so please see my comments only as suggestions and so on. So yeah, but for me it's still a challenge to be able to be sure that what I'm what I'm asking is not really ridiculous. Like, well, but at the same time, it's something that it's interesting because I'm learning a lot. I mean, yeah, there are really topics that I've never thought about it, and approaches to science that I've never envisioned. Such, I don't know, working with people from anthropology and ethnomusicology. So it gives you also another view on how science is done and how people understand it and communicate them. So it's nice.
Would you say it's easy to build a relationship with researchers?
Well, I think so. I've never struggled that much with that. Of course, there are researchers that probably because they are already at a very senior phase at their career. You must remember that I'm working at the faculty, so the researchers are university teachers, and some of them, they are not open to show their application or to discuss the application, and they just see me and the people that work on these related jobs as administrators to fill in papers and to be able to for that person to be able to submit the project. But when the relationship is established, in the sense that they receive some feedback and they like the feedback, because I also think that researchers, most of the times, they like to discuss and to present their work. So if you give them space to do so, and they will feel that you are part of the scientific community, and your feedback is valuable, then everything works fine. So as a clear answer, I have never felt, apart from some exceptions, not a problem to work with the researchers and to feel that my job was valuable for them.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a positive experience
Yeah,
overall.
it's true.
So right now, if there was an open position like yours, how are they advertising for these kinds of positions?
It depends a little bit on the institution, in the sense, and how does the research support office is organized at the institution. But you can maybe this position would be mentioned really as funding advisor, a person to work on pre-award. That's what we call all the tasks done before the funding arrives to the institution. But I think still a lot of research institutions don't have a clear vision on what are the different tasks and what are the different categories of people that work on science administration. So probably the call will be open for a research administrator, and in the details, the call will mention that this person will be responsible for pre-award, for scoping, funding opportunities, and work to support researchers at the application phase.
So you find it then on the websites of universities? That's where you go look?
Yes, I mean, yeah, you find it on the institutions, yeah, universities, faculties, research units website, but it's also published at ERA Careers, probably, because it's also a part of the scientific community job. So all these positions are published there.
Say again what it was called?
ERA Careers.
ERA Careers? I don't know this. I never
No?
heard of it. No.
This is the portal for all the fellowships in Portugal.
I see.
ERA Careers, like Euraccess, but in Portugal. ERA Careers. So you can search for topic, you can search for, in my position, maybe you would search for management as a keyword, and you would find these positions available there. Unfortunately, most of the positions are for fellowships, the so-called science and technology management fellowships, but also there are contracts available. And you will find it all in ERA careers.
And what kind of skills would they ask for? And can you maybe also say how important they really are, or?
Well, I think that a lot of these positions, at least on the scientific background, they do not require a PhD or even a specific scientific background. For example, I got into this position in an institution for social sciences and humanities, and I don't have this scientific background because at least I also agree that to do this kind of job is not necessary, or even it could be an advantage if you are from a different scientific background. So for the scientific background, usually it's quite broad. So not only the area, but also you must have a PhD. And for the skills, probably they will look for people that already have some experience on applications or experience or international projects. So maybe it's a little bit, I would expect that they would mention some experience on a project level. In my case, as funding advisor, to also know the funding schemes and the funding programs in that specific area.
Good to know. So yeah, I mean that makes someone optimistic, right? So you can, with a very broad variety of experiences, you can still have the chance of landing such a job.
I think the experience level it's much more important than the background and the formal education in this kind of jobs. I feel that.
So one should have experience with funding, but it doesn't really matter what kind of degree you have or in what field you've been working. Okay. So when you were at the workshop at Champollion talking about what people call alternative careers, but you want to rename it, rebrand it, careers at the interface of science is the term you prefer?
Well, yeah, this is a term that we as a group prefer, in that sense that it integrates different job profiles, because usually we call it science managers. It's a bit more common to call ourselves science managers, but also people that work on science communication, that work on technology transfer officers, that work closely with the community to transfer the knowledge from the research to a specific area. All these people face more or less the same challenges and work really closely with the researchers and are part of the research community. So in that sense, and also to suggest that our profession is not only to support others, but also an important part of the system. We started to call ourselves professionals at the interface of science. So to be able to join all these diversity together in a group of professionals.
So who is we in this case?
We are an open platform, so just an informal group of people that have this kind of jobs, and we have joined together. We already joined together in different smaller groups in Lisbon, in Porto, in Aveiro, and then 2 years ago we have decided to organize our first national meeting, and that was the born of the platform for the interface of science.
So it's called the platform at the interface of science, but you call it the Portuguese name, right? Usually.
We call it PIC.
And where can one find it?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page and a Facebook group where people that work on these professions share their ideas, their challenges. For example, when there is a common application such as this one for FCT last year, we have shared our doubts and the answers that we got from the funding agency. So it's a very practical platform to share knowledge. So we have the Facebook group, and also we have the website sites.google.com/view/pick.
Okay. I will put it in the show notes so that people can read it. If one is interested in these kind of jobs, they can just go there and they find a contact, maybe?
Yeah. So it's a very simple web page, so you can find the platform, a little bit more information about who we are, how we are organized, because the platform, although it's an informal group, we have decided to divide to have four working groups, working on different areas that we felt important, such as, for example, the first one is mapping who we are, to answer your question. The second one is it's a working group related on communication that launched this website last year. And the third one is related to training. What kind of training do we need? What kind of training can we provide to the system? And the fourth one is related to benchmarking. So how we are related to other platforms that exist around in Europe and in the world. And so in the website, you will find more information about these groups, and you can, and of course the email, and you can just join a mailing list or even join a working group and work with us, because it's only based on voluntary work, and we are more than glad to have all people interested in developing ideas with us.
Fantastic. There was a lot of information that you gave us. Thank you very much. Is there still anything that you would like to mention but didn't get to yet?
Just to give a suggestion that if this job or these ideas, these tasks interest you, maybe it will be a good idea to take advantage being in a research institution, as most of the researchers are, and just go ahead and talk with a science manager or a science communication or science professional at the interface of science at your institution, and try to join a specific activity and just try out. Because I think if you would come with this kind of approach to try out and see what's going on and see if it fits your idea in my institution, you would be more than welcome. So while you are in a research institution, and if this job description interests you, just go ahead and try it out.
That's a very good advice. Actually, I just realized that it's completely stupid of myself not to have thought about that. Because, of course, we have a pre-award office here, and they send emails out every week. And I still hadn't thought of just walking over there and asking how their job works. That's hilarious.
Yeah, not only how the job works, but also just, I don't know, if they are, if for example, science communication is interesting for you, maybe just, well, why not also write down a new some press release on my research work, for example, and to work with them how to improve it, for example. I don't know, just a simple task, because I'm sure that the researchers, well, everybody is full of work, but maybe it's a possibility. It's an easy possibility when you are in a research institution to try out these alternative possibilities.
Yeah, that's true. So we are, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but most people I know in science who are researchers have a full schedule every week. And there's really little opportunity to look left and right.
Yeah, it's true.
And this is the end of the episode. Please let me know whether you found it helpful to learn about the funding application process, the work as a funding advisor, and the platform for the interface of science. Do you want to hear more career episodes? Do you want to hear about a specific career? Get in contact. Our contact email is info@scienceforprogress.eu. Our website is scienceforprogress.eu, and you can find us on Twitter and Facebook under @sci4progress. If you are on Twitter, you should also follow our rotating curation account with people working in and around academia and the sciences under @SFPROCUR. That's @SFPROCUR.
Okay, so now I have to go. Bye bye, Denise.